say this is the Ramble Pack Podcast episode 58, technically, 57 or 58. Although this is a special recording because we actually have our first interview. This is actually kind of near and dear to my heart because it's one of the members of my all-time favorite band, Darkest Hour. I'm sure people have mentioned or have heard me talk about it. But for everybody listening, I want to introduce you to Aaron Big Deal. Had a lot of fun talking with him at the concert recently in Boston. Just going over retro gaming, some things he's been into, and some, I guess, games he's picked up on the road, which I found really cool. The fact that you found some old retro stores, or is it just like nerd stores?
Because those kind of stores generally have both.
That's fair. So I know you had mentioned the device that you had. It's not a typical Super Nintendo system, right? It was
Well, so
it's not. It looked like a Famicom kind of.
yeah. So I have, like, the story with that whole thing is that I have my Super Nintendo from when I was a kid. I can see it from where I'm sitting right now. So I got that when I was a teenager and, like, you know, used it extensively until I was somewhere in my 20s or something. And, you know, then eventually it was like Nintendo 64 and GameCube and PlayStation 1 and 2 and whatever on from there, and Xbox and all that stuff. And at some point, my mom worked from home when I was a teenager and lived at home. And she worked in the basement, and the Super Nintendo was hooked up to a TV down there, and she would, like, take breaks from work and play Dr. Mario. And she got super addicted to Dr. Mario. So at some point, I gave the Super Nintendo and all the games and everything to my mom. And she lived in Ohio at that point, so she could play Dr. Mario whenever she wanted. And then, like, 20 years later, she gives me the Super Nintendo back, and I just, like, carried it around for a year or two. And then recently, in between the last tour at the end of last year and this tour where we talked about all of this stuff, I had pulled 2 GameCubes and that Super Nintendo out of my basement and cleaned them, took them apart and cleaned them and all that stuff. So when I still have most of my GameCube games, which is awesome because those have gotten expensive, which surprised me.
Yes. Yeah, super expensive.
So I didn't get any GameCube games while I was on the road, but there's a few that I would like to actually have in real format. So anyway, I had this, when I got the Super Nintendo back up and working for my mom, the only game that it came back with was Dr. Mario and Tetris. Which is awesome, but I wanted to like fill out my collection of, like, all my favorites from when I was a kid and whatever. And so I made a list before I went out on tour and of all the game cartridges that I wanted to try and find. So when I would go to a city to play the show, I would look and see if there were any vinyl record stores or, like, retro video game stores within walking distance of the venue. And if there was, I would go walk to them. And I found a couple of really, really cool stores while I was out. And I got every game on my list within the first, like, week or week and a half of tour, I think. And then I'm like, man, so I got all the games that I want. Now I have to wait, like, a month to get home to play them. That sucks.
Yeah.
So I got a clone console, which is Hyperkin Super Retron HD.
Okay.
So yeah, it looks like a Famicom, a Super Famicom. So the aesthetics are a little bit different, but it plays original cartridges, and it has a 720p HDMI output.
That was going to be my question: is if it output HD or not?
So that's why I needed something, because the only way that I could hook it up to the entertainment system on the bus, which is cool that it exists, but it's definitely not, like, state-of-the-art technology at this point in time. So there's, like, an HDMI cable that's, like, sticking out of the wall. and that's what you have to like interface with. So I had to make sure that whatever I got had an HDMI output, and I had never used one of these before, but so I just picked one up. They had one used at one of the shops that I went to, so I got it. Nice. And it worked on the bus, and so then I could play F-Zero and Star Fox and whatever, and it was totally awesome. So that's the nice. That was a really long explanation of what console that I had
no, that's
on
great.
the bus was. Yeah.
That's great. And you just recently picked, well, maybe not recently, but you mentioned you have a Steam Deck now, and I know that they just announced an OLED version of it coming out too, but that's been on the up and up, like for sales wise recently. And Steam, there was a leak. I don't know how much you follow Valve or anything like that, but their new game just leaked. I think it's called Deadlock. It's like a hero shooter, okay. And I'm sure that it's going to be on release. It's probably going to be like Steam Deck enabled. But how do you find that compared to? I guess how do you find that compared to retro consoles, and like even if you do PC gaming on that, does it make PC gaming on the go a lot easier, or would you still stick with like a Switch?
Okay, so I got the Steam. I had been curious about the Steam Deck, and I had never seen one in person or touched one or whatever until that tour. One of the guys in one of the other bands had one, and so when I saw him playing it, I was like, "Oh man, is that a Steam Deck? Cool! Can I check it out?" So I got to touch it and like feel the buttons and the joysticks and stuff. I was like, "Oh man, this is awesome! I want one." So when I had been thinking about getting one, and when I got home from tour, I looked into it a little bit, and the OLED ones had just come out. So I feel like I was fortunate to get into the, like I have an OLED Switch as well. I started off with a Switch Lite, which was great for... So the story with the Switch was John, a couple of guys in the band had one, and I was like, man, that is so cool. I really, really, like, I got to get one.
I'm really surprised to hear that.
I'll use it on tour all the time. And so I felt like the Lite seemed better for taking on tour because it's like one solid piece. And if you're using it handheld all the time, and it has an actual D-pad instead of the buttons. So I went with a Lite first, and I got home from tour, ordered the Switch Lite, got it a couple of days later, and then we didn't tour for years because the pandemic happened.
Right.
But I had been a fan of Animal Crossing on the GameCube like 20 years earlier. Yes. So I was super excited for that Animal Crossing game to come out, and I had already pre-ordered that. And so the Lite was perfect for playing Animal Crossing every day during the pandemic, basically.
So just to interrupt you there, do you have a favorite villager?
I haven't played it in a couple of years, but the ones that are my favorite, I think, Fauna. She's like a super cute little deer one, and then
the little deer,
there's a dog named Lucky that's like totally covered in bandages. That's really funny.
Yeah,
those are probably my two favorites. The little octopus in
particular
guy too.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
There's a red octopus guy. I can't remember his name right now.
Oh yeah, I think his name's like Octavius or something. I've only seen him once.
He's pretty funny too. He's just like a grouchy old octopus, but then his house has like the moon lander in it or something. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And Lucky the dog's house is like a spooky graveyard inside.
Yes, because he looks like a mummy. Yeah. My wife is a big fan of I think her name's Marcy. She's a pink kangaroo. Ooh. And my daughter likes Eloise, which is a yellow elephant with like a little brown hair.
Okay, all right. Those I've never had either one of those on my island. I don't think, but they sound adorable. I love that game. I literally I had an app for it on my phone that helps track.
The Pocket Camp?
No.
Oh, it helps track stuff because they have an Animal Crossing game on the iOS as well.
And I never played that, oddly, but I'm trying to find it's called Animal Crossing Travel Guide.
Oh,
and
okay.
It's like a companion app that you use to keep track of all the artwork and all the collection stuff,
Yeah.
It was pretty, I was obsessive about it. My museum is 100% full. everything,
Nice.
you know. So I played Animal Crossing religiously for like 2 years probably before I finally moved on.
Right there with you.
And then at that point, I was like, okay, so it's been several years, and I've kind of exhausted this one game that I literally use the Switch Lite almost exclusively for. It's just a Animal Crossing machine. The OLED came out at that point, and I was like, okay, I want to be able to hook this up to the TV, so I got the OLED one, and it rules. Then, so with this Steam Deck, I was excited to get in on the OLED instead of getting an LCD and then getting an OLED, wishing that I had got the OLED or whatever. So that was bad timing. Anyway, so I've had the Steam Deck for a few months, or excuse me, a few weeks, less than a month at this point. And I have been playing. I love it. I haven't actually touched my Switch since I got the Steam Deck, which is surprising because I'm like in the middle of a couple of games on Switch too. I was super excited about Princess Peach.
I wanted your opinion on that because I know my daughter and my wife was excited about that. So, first-hand knowledge is always good.
I'm like 3/4 of the way into it, and then I got the Steam Deck, and I haven't got. Like I said, I actually touched the Switch.
Yeah.
So on the Steam Deck, I have been playing mostly those bullet hell type games that we've talked about a little bit. The Void Scrappers is a favorite that I've been playing a lot recently. I have Vampire Survivors on there, and there's an update, the Contra thing or whatever that just came out, but I haven't checked it out yet. I'm sure.
That's been a lot of fun.
Sure.
If you were a fan of Contra back on the old systems, they have some of the old music on there too.
Okay.
They have the old sprites and everything.
Awesome.
It's really neat.
I definitely remember playing Contra a lot. That game, like going back to it, is like, for me anyway, it's like, man, this game is not that fun.
It's literally hell. Like Contra was just one of those games that and what is it, Super Ghosts and Goblins just like beat you over the head with gameplay.
Yeah. Okay, so what's another? There's one called Army of Ruin, which is like more 3D. It's still like simple graphics, but it's more modern graphics. But it's the same idea. You're just a little character doing everything around you and collect upgrades along the way. But the gameplay of that one I like. And then I have I've been learning how to use it and all that stuff because I don't have a PC. I've not done PC gaming since I was like 15 years old probably, and that was a long time ago. So yeah, this is my first non-console type experience. I mean, it's not really that different from a console, but it is a computer, and I haven't really used Linux. So getting into that aspect of it is interesting, and I've already got it running. Let's see. I've got Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, GameCube, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, DS, all of that emulator stuff running on there, and
You're hitting on something I wanted to touch base with.
It works
was emulation.
really great, man. Like playing even DS, which is obviously weird because it has that original one has two screens and one of them was a touchscreen.
Yep.
The way that I've played DS games on here already, and it works really well. You can change the way that it orients the two screens on there.
Oh, nice.
The touch screen
That makes things a lot easier.
So it's awesome. Yeah.
Very cool. So I was going to say, are you big into emulation or do you know much about it? But clearly you do.
Yeah. So, I mean, I really love Nintendo games. Okay. So I always have, and I've always been, for years, been interested in a way to play them portably and like play like Super Nintendo is probably my sweet spot. So having those games, like I've had emulators on my MacBook for like 15 years ago, 20 years ago or something like that. So, I mean, I even remember having like a USB little Nintendo gamepad thing to like. There was one point where I upgraded my computer and I had a like super old MacBook that basically was just a emulator machine at that point. So yeah,
same here.
I'm into it. Yeah.
So if the Steam Deck is ever too big, and I'm definitely not shilling or anything, but I got this little guy for Christmas. It's called a Retroid Pocket.
Okay.
You can put like all. I wish it would actually. There we go.
I can see it. Yeah.
So it's just a little old device, and it runs up to PlayStation 1 games, all the way from like Atari up to about PlayStation 1 and GameCube. I use it for just NES, Super NES, and Genesis stuff. Sometimes N64 for like certain games, but mainly it's like the old retro stuff. Even Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games, I play a lot of those on. Oh, and it even plays Dreamcast if you were ever into that stuff too. So highly recommend it. Just like $100,
cool.
150 for like the step up, but it's great for travel, and it lasts for like 8 hours on a full charge, just straight play.
Nice. It's seen.
So dedicated machines, great.
There's like a lot of those things on the market right now. It's awesome. I saw one within the past couple of days that looks almost exactly like a Game Boy Advance. And that looks awesome.
Oh man, it looks. There was one. There's an Instagram channel I follow called Retro Dodo, and they cover a lot of old retro games and things that they're that are like coming back around, and they cover a lot of emulator devices. And they just talked about one that looks like the Game Boy. I think it was the Advance SP, the one that folds like a clamshell.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yes.
Except it has 4 face buttons instead of just 2, so it'll probably run up to Nintendo 64 or something like that, PlayStation 1. You know, yeah, that stuff's awesome. And I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's just there's nostalgia involved, obviously, because I have like memories tied to lots of Super.
That's what you grew up on, right?
I mean,
yeah.
It was weird. I remember watching and helping my dad build our first family computer when I was 6 years old. Like he got a kit and built it on the kitchen table at grandma's house over winter vacation or whatever. And so that's cool. Like my access point to soldering and electronics and stuff like that. And so we were early on into computers. This would have been the early 80s, by the way.
Okay.
And then my dad also hated video games. So my introduction to video games was I would go over and have sleepovers at one of their friends from church's house or whatever. But it was it was like, oh, somebody from church, so it'll be good. But that was like where he had Playboy magazines he stole from his dad, the liquor stash he had squirreled away from his parents, and he had video games. So that was where he had an Atari 2600, so we played a lot of those games. We played computer games at his house, like the early Sierra games, like King's Quest and Police Quest and Space Quest and Leisure Suit Larry.
Of course, which isn't around anymore.
Yeah, well, that's a game that, when you're 9 years old, it's funny, but you don't really get it either. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, yes, I absolutely agree.
But it's funny. It's funny now looking back on it, all of that stuff. Whoa.
Yeah.
So that was my early, and then the first system that I had at my house was called a Magnavox Odyssey Squared.
Yes, the Odyssey.
And my dad got us that one because it had a keyboard on it, and he thought that it would be educational somehow and not just dumb video games.
Yep.
And the Odyssey was awesome. The game selection was not great, but they did have some bangers, like the Casey Munchkin Pac-Man one was awesome. Pickaxe Pete was sick.
Can't say I've heard of that one.
Oh, dude, check out Pickaxe Pete, man. It's awesome. It's really, really good. It's not that different from... It's a spin-off of Pac-Man, basically. It's a similar idea, sort of, but it's a cross between, the Boulder Dash or whatever and, Pac-Man idea.
Yeah.
It's fun, though. And then But the other thing that it had was this voice adapter. Like it had a speech module that was
The
very,
actual Odyssey did.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. There was an add-on for it that you plugged into the top
Okay.
of it, and it was called The Voice. And so it added like super, super early and primitive voice capability, like voice synthesis to the machine, which was amazing.
That's cool. I had no
It's
idea.
really bad. It sounds hilarious. So there was this one game that it was just literally a screen full of blank squares, and you could type in letters with the keyboard and have the computer talk it to you. So
Like Microsoft Sam.
we had so much fun as kids typing things like "I worship Satan" and like what have the computer like say this thing, or you could just start typing like a ton of K's or V's or to see like like all that stuff. That was so much fun. So that was great. Going back to emulation for a second, I have gotten an Odyssey emulator to work. I had one on a MacBook a while back, and so I know that it's possible, and I have all the games and stuff, but I haven't figured out how to make it work on the Steam Deck yet. I've got it on there and it recognizes it, but I think like I need to figure out how to get the BIOS in the right place or something. So I am very excited about Odyssey emulation. So
Nothing wrong with that.
We had an Odyssey. One of the neighbor kids had a Nintendo, and that was so we had to go to his house to play Nintendo. But I remember playing Zelda and Metroid and Mario Brothers and all that stuff at his house when I was a little kid. And then my sister and I got a little bit older, and when my dad couldn't tell us what to do as much anymore, we saved up our money and got the Super Nintendo. And so that was ours. And yeah, I was an early teens and teenager when I had that system. So I just remember playing Zelda, like spending an entire summer playing Link to the Past with one of my friends, like trying to figure it out and all that stuff. There were resources in the form of like a 900 number that you could call to get game tips or whatever.
Yes. Yeah, straight from Nintendo.
But there was no internet.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was just like trial and error of trying to figure out those things. And when we beat Zelda, it was like monumental, you know what I mean? So like,
yeah,
I
absolutely.
love that whole era, and remember staying up late at night, like playing F-Zero or Star Fox at like 2 a.m. So
I'm right there with you. Yeah,
love that stuff so much. And then so Super Nintendo is the real. I have memories with stuff before that, and then obviously like I loved video games ever since then, and I had every Nintendo up to I never had a Wii, and then I got a Switch, and I had up to DS, but I never had a 3DS, and now I have a Switch. I've had every Xbox, and that's what I have currently. I had every PlayStation up through 3. I never got a 4 or 5 because to me at that point it was just like the exclusives aren't really what I care about, and there's not enough difference between a PlayStation and an Xbox anymore to make it like who cares, so I just stuck with one because by that point I felt like I liked the Xbox controller better and liked the UI better. So yeah, that's. But I never had a Dreamcast, but I played one a little bit. Aside from the Odyssey, I didn't have any of the like weird Neo Geo or any, like I never had any of that stuff.
None of the SNK stuff or anything like that.
I had a Genesis like way after the fact. There was one point in my early to mid 20s where I like specifically set up my living room with a bunch of retro consoles. I had Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, GameCube, Genesis, and probably PlayStation by that point. Like all hooked up at the same time. And it was pretty sick. But I don't.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
But now it's so much nicer to have all that stuff on the, and to be honest, I was looking into those smaller handhelds like you just mentioned a little bit ago. I
Yeah.
had emulation on mind because I got all the Super Nintendo games that I like really wanted, and it's not like I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna continue that search because it's fun to seek these stores out and see what they
Oh,
have.
for sure.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's other games that I want, but I have the ones that I feel like I need right now. With the GameCube stuff, when I was like, man, Twilight Princess is $150. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is like if I just get like 4 games, like I could just get a Steam Deck instead.
Mm-hmm.
But I was
And
already,
they've started cracking N64 games and things to emulate it on the computers
yeah,
now. Like we've got Ocarina of Time. They just did Majora's Mask to run natively on there. Where they're like emulation is quickly moving now. I
and
mean, it's even on phones too,
right,
which is
yeah,
cool.
they've just recently. I feel like it was 2 weeks ago or something that first they opened up the emulator stuff on iPhones, and there
Yep.
was a Delta one for Game Boy right away, and now there's several more for different things. So
Yes, there
that's
is.
exciting. Yeah, it, it's funny. Of course, so I buy a specialized system just to run games and emulation and stuff, and then like a week later, you can do it all on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't
Isn't
know.
that how technology works too?
I like the Steam Deck. I am really like things that I have enjoyed about it so far that I'm excited about, especially for like my position as someone who travels a lot.
Mm-hmm.
First off, when you're at home, there's like I have a back porch that I really enjoy hanging out on. So the Steam Deck is really great for just sitting on the back porch chilling. That's an awesome situation.
Absolutely.
Um, Sometimes it's especially luxurious to have some, I like Bob Ross a lot, so there's like I'll have Bob Ross playing in the background and then
I learned how to paint because of him.
play a video game at the same time. Like that's a pretty lazy
Mm-hmm.
way to go, but it feels really nice.
It's nice and chill. I do not blame you.
So watching TV and playing video games at the same time, fantastic. So
Hell yeah.
that's like the home, and of course you can hook up the Steam Deck to your TV and play it like a console. So the
Mm-hmm.
portability is great and similar to a Switch in that aspect. And then like just everything that's great about the Switch, being able to take it on wherever you're going is awesome. Like, dude, I got tattooed earlier this week, and it was like a
Mm-hmm.
bigger tattoo, and it is on my leg. So I was laying down basically, and for the first part of the tattoo, I was just kind of like laying there meditating, and then we took
Mm-hmm.
a break, and I grabbed my Steam Deck and just sat there and like played video games
There you
while
go.
I was getting tattooed. It's totally odd.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what else am I gonna do? Stand there or like stare at the wall for hours on end? It's amazing
Yeah.
that like that you can do stuff like that now. And then the tour stuff, I can have every game that I want right there, and the screen looks
It's
great.
almost like unlimited entertainment.
Okay, so I have figured out how to, like I was telling my roommate that I just got it and how much I'm enjoying it, and telling him like, man, okay, so situations that I would dream about as a kid, being able to like choose I mean, you've been able to do this with Xbox and PlayStation for a while, but like choose your own soundtrack in the video, like choose
Mm-hmm.
your music and whatever. And so
Yep.
the situation that I was describing to him is like, I'm playing a game on my Steam Deck. I have my iPhone streaming music to the Steam Deck. My wireless noise canceling headphones are receiving the music and immersing me in this world. And if like I don't like the next song, I can just like skip it. It's like
Yeah.
also it's like fine tuned, tailored for like everything that I want, and it's so easy, So man, it's just it's awesome to have grown up through all of the developments of video games and to be in this era right now and to be able to enjoy like such amazing choice and quality of everything, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it's a
Man,
really amazing golden era of fun for video games, you know?
absolutely, like, that's how I feel about the 90s. It's always looking back, it's like gaming was great and it had a great foundation after the huge crash that it
Right.
had. And like all the stuff that came out through the 90s and early 2000s leading up to like the N64 going full 3D and then getting the PlayStation and just watching the growth from there is just like, man, the stuff, the shoulders that the gaming companies now are standing on is just kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Especially looking at like the beginnings.
Yeah, right. Well, it's interesting too. Like, I mean, I get my dad looking at video games from his perspective 30, 35 years ago or whatever. He was like, man, this is stupid. It's just like repetitive. Like, it's a little dot or a stick figure or something. Like, you know, trying to explain to him, like, what a football game is or a basketball game or something. Because, like, sports are more easily identifiable for him than something more abstract. But like football games of that era don't look anything like, or even represent
Not like they do now.
They weren't really football games either, you know. But now, and for a long time, at the 10 years at least at this point, like, dude, you could probably throw on a Madden game and like as long as there wasn't like button stuff on there, like he probably wouldn't know if it was a real game or not. You know what
I love that you mentioned that because I don't know if you like peruse Twitch or anything, but you know how they have the UFC games and MMA based games and things like that? There was a streamer before that had a leaked. No, it wasn't a leaked. He was watching a UFC fight and he was streaming it, but to get around streaming TV shows and stuff to Twitch, he had a controller in his hand, acting like it was the game, trying to pretend like it was the actual, like he was controlling the show.
Wow.
I was like, that's smart because you know it makes sense with the fidelity that we have with graphics nowadays. It's you put it in front of anybody that doesn't really know games, they're not gonna have an easy time telling the difference between the two. And I think he got away with it for a little while, and then you know started hitting the internet, people pointed out, and then Twitch cracked down on that. But I was just like, that's smart.
Yeah,
that's a good way to get around it.
Yeah, well, with all the, I mean, you know, but this goes to the achievements in technology and all of that stuff. Like having graphics that are, like, how do you go far? You know, I mean, when everything looks real, that's another interesting thing with like changing generations and stuff. Talking about a new Switch coming out, like how powerful does it have to be in reality? Because they like swept up this time with the lowest powered like big console. Like, and for me, playing Nintendo game, like the Switch looks amazing. I don't even need it to look better than that personally, because the games that I want to play on Switch are Nintendo games that are made to look great on that system, you know?
Yes, absolutely. To that point, it's something that I personally have argued like on the podcast before where you know, we've got this console war going on where it's like, are you in the PlayStation camp or are you in the Xbox camp? And then a lot of people don't pay attention to Nintendo. They're playing their own game and they're like, we're doing fine. Don't bother us. We're off on our side. And you get things like, is it Breath of the Wild and the new Mario games and stuff. Everything plays perfectly. Yeah. Even if it's not a 60 frame per second game, 120 hertz, whatever you want to call it, it still runs great. Even if it's 30 frames like for Breath of the Wild and like sometimes it chugs during highly animated things or if there's too many things on the screen, it still never crashes. It still is consistent. You get a great story out of it and like you know what you're getting into.
Absolutely.
Nintendo plays by like their own rules.
I mean, the Switch is worth buying for either one of those Zelda games by itself, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
I need to add one of those to my arm. I've got Ocarina of Time through Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. No Breath of the Wild yet.
Okay, all right. Yeah, man. I mean, and the physics in Tears of the Kingdom are incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's not like like I can't believe these graphics aren't more correct. Like, you know, like I would never ever think that. And like, yeah, the Super Mario Wonder, that game looks amazing. It doesn't need.
I was going to ask you if you got to play that.
That's another. So I've played maybe halfway through that one, and then got Princess Peach and played 3/4 through that one, and then got the Steam Deck, and so I haven't finished. I have a little bit of a backlog on Switch right now.
So I wonder if you feel similarly to me. When I first started Wonder, it felt a lot like Super Mario World from the Super NES. Like the feeling, like the controls itself, and for lack of a better word, the physics of
Mhm.
it, like just holding the run button and moving over, it felt very similar to
Yeah,
that. And it's nice that there's that, because as Mario went on, he always got this kind of lag where you let go of the input and he keeps running for a second, then stops. Whereas this is like, it feels just like the old days. So I'm like, oh, this is taking me back.
mm. Interesting. I know what you're talking about, but I don't know if I've paid that close of attention to compare them. But I do. The
Hmm.
gameplay in Wonder is amazing and does feel like immediately familiar and like old school feeling with
Yes.
just like fancy, like trippy graphics. With, yeah, I love that.
Hmm.
Uh,
Comparatively, would you pick 3D or would you pick 2D?
mm, I mean, they both have their pros and cons, but as far as Mario games, I probably think that I've had more fun and played the 2D ones like more, you know.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, Princess Peach, before I forget about it, I would highly recommend it. It's super cute and it has like a really wide variety of gameplay because it's
Hmm.
like set up like a play and there's different acts in the play and I want to say there's 8 different characters overall. I haven't quite finished it yet, so but and then each one of those characters has different play moves and different play styles and whatever. So
Right.
it's I feel like it's similar to a Mario game in the way that it plays, and then it has an element of like smaller bites, like the like micro games or whatever. I can't remember call it straight up.
Oh, like
Yeah, yeah,
WarioWare.
yeah. Like where it changes, so you're not doing the
Hmm.
same exact thing the whole game. It's like, oh, I'm a cowboy now. I'm a ninja now. I'm a pastry chef now.
Hmm.
But it's super cute, and the way that they change it up and is fun. And there's enough like without having difficulty settings or anything, it's like easy enough that I think almost anyone could play it and have fun. But then it's deep enough when you start paying attention in the little hidden stuff in the background that it's like, oh, I got to play that level again, you know. So it's
Hmm.
fun and engaging on multiple levels. I think I would recommend
Okay.
it.
So, fair enough. Along those same lines, would you say that you gravitate more towards retro gaming now, or do you still prefer modern gaming?
I probably prefer retro and retro style gaming. I
Hmm.
get less excited about newer games. It's not that I never buy them, like modern AAA stuff, but I'm not. I get excited about that way less frequently than I used to, I guess. Like I'm trying to think. Like I mean, I played Cyberpunk when it first came out, and I
Hmm.
just it's on sale on Steam Deck right now for half price. So I downloaded it yesterday, and I am excited to play it on one Steam Deck because I think it'll be fun to play a game like that on while traveling or whatever. And then also I'm interested
For
to play
sure.
it like 3 or 4 or whatever years apart, like when it was like totally jacked up when it came out
Yeah.
versus like, and I fought my way through it anyway, and then playing it now with the space and after it's been all because from what I understand they like really turned it around and fixed it right.
They've put in a lot of work on
Oh
that game and turned it around. Phantom Liberty came
yeah,
out, and that was excellent
I
too. Like
so
a perfect add-on, and it adds to the
I
story. It's
haven't
great.
played Phantom Liberty yet, but I got that with the game on the Steam Deck, so I'll be able to experience that with this runaround. So yeah, I mean, I played that whenever it came out. I'm excited to play it again. The last one before that was probably Red Dead 2, which
Okay.
I played that game for like a year probably. I once I I don't want to spoil or anything, but
Spoiling what, a 10-year-old game? You're fine.
once you realize that your time with Arthur is limited, I just like completely diverted from the main quest at that point and just turned it into like a hunting and fishing simulator for like
Just want to extend that.
6 or 8 months of my actual life. You know, that just like, ride my horse around in this. So like,
I don't blame you at all. Arthur is an excellent
yeah,
character.
that game was great. I identified with him so much after playing it for 6 months as him, and even like in the like he had like long hair and a beard, you know. So like, yeah,
That's awesome.
I was like, all right, I don't want this to end. I'm gonna go catch all these fish and shoot all these birds and stuff. So yeah, I took an 8 months detour before going back to like complete the main quest in that game. I mean, the Grand Theft Auto 6, I'm sure that'll be awesome. I have Elden Ring is on my wish list for the Steam Deck, but I haven't played that game yet. I'm just waiting for it to go on sale and I'll get it.
It probably will soon because their DLC is about to drop in the next month or two, I think, or maybe at least sometime in the summer. But Shadow of the Erd Tree will be out.
Cool.
So then maybe they'll do like a bundle deal where you can get both, and it's only like $40.
Yeah, perfect. That's another thing about the Steam. I not having any PC gaming experience. This is literally my first experience with Steam, and as well. So yeah, there's a couple of like little nitpicky things that about like the way that it works that I think are weird, but overall it seems awesome, and I do appreciate just being able to throw a bunch of stuff on your wish list, and they have like real sales that happen like somewhat frequently, it seems like. So
they have sales like every day on Steam, it feels like. And when you get into like the summer, what is it, Steam summer sales or whatever it is, you can just take $10 and get at least 15 different games depending.
Perfect.
Like some of them will be on sale for just like 5 cents, 10 cents, maybe 50. Others will be like $1. It all depends on what the game is, the size, how old it is, but their price drops and stuff are insane sometimes.
Yeah, whereas I mean Nintendo has you know what I mean? Like, cuz again with them, it's not like I want to play those Nintendo games, and they know that they're the ones that have it, and they never put that stuff on. Like once a year, maybe you'll get a $60 game go to $42 or whatever, you know. So
that's something that I don't think the average consumer really notices. Nintendo is like kind of insular when it comes to that, and they, like you said, they control the prices and things, and very rarely do they go on sale, and if they do, they're 3 years old and it's maybe $5 off.
But even that, so you have a 5-year-old game that's still like $60. It's like, man, come on.
But that's Nintendo. That's how they've always operated.
But I still want it. You know I want it. So fine, you got me.
Still gonna get exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, Nintendo knows what they're doing as far as that stuff goes. But then I like this other ecosystem. I appreciate that because just like we just said, if it's a 5-year-old game, man, it's like, come on, man, you made your money, like.
And Steam has done a really cool thing too, where they have been really proactive about refund policies. Because you buy a digital item, how do you say, I've used this and it's not what I want, can you take it back and give me my money? You don't have a physical thing to show them. Steam's got it worked out to where like you buy a game, you get a 2-hour window to play it. If you played it for over 2 hours, you can't get a refund. But if you do, you realize you don't like it or whatever, they'll refund you. There's also a cool thing that they've done where some games have retroactively changed some of their privacy policies and stuff, and it's pissed off a lot of their community.
Sure.
And because of that, Steam has a clause where it's like, when things change that it's not what you initially bought, you can ask for a refund. And that's what happened a lot with Helldivers 2 when Sony was making them require PSN on the Steam. So people were requesting refunds, and they abided by it.
Yeah,
Steam's really cool about that kind of thing. They're like customer first.
I haven't had to deal with that yet, thankfully. So I'm just getting into the ecosystem, but that sounds cool. I've heard about the Helldivers thing a little bit, but I haven't played the game, so it doesn't mean that much to me. So yeah, I don't know.
not to plug my own podcast, but I covered that in the last episode we put out.
Okay.
So if you're interested,
Cool. Man, I feel like I was gonna say something, but I forgot. So
sorry. Got a question just to relate it to your profession when it comes to music. Do you find yourself really paying attention to a lot of music in games? Is it something you don't think about to get out of that world and just video games are the escape? Or do video game music ever influence your taste in music or what you're doing, how you play, maybe even genres you haven't even explored?
I mean, video game music has absolutely influenced me. Again, like being younger, or when I was younger, rather, like that era of late 80s through the kind of mid 90s, 8-bit and 16-bit stuff. I mean, just like anything else, some of it is absolutely amazing. Some of it is good, and then there's like down from there. But like, I mean, some of that music is absolutely incredible and timeless, regardless of what the medium is. Like some of the Zelda music is fantastic, and like they've translated stuff
it has stood the test of time.
So yes, that music has absolutely influenced me, and I do. When video game music is great, I love it, and there are great. I mean, I guess I'm gonna. Let's see. I mean, Red Dead had not necessarily like a lot of music, but I mean the sound effects and stuff were definitely very immersive, and to the point where I wouldn't want to listen to something else while I was playing that game because I was in that world.
Yeah, I get that.
I feel like Nintendo is really good at music for their first party stuff, like Princess Peach and Mario Wonder, for example, both like. If you put on like headphones and listen to that stuff, it's an amazing experience. It's really cool.
I agree.
I mean, like Grand Theft Auto with the radio stations and stuff does a great job of putting music into the world in an organic way.
Same with Cyberpunk. They have great music on the radio.
Cyberpunk. Where I start getting annoyed with music in video games is where it starts getting like Tony Hawk. I grew up skateboarding too, and Tony Hawk, like the soundtracks for those are legendary, and I mean, whatever your personal opinion, you probably think like half of the songs are awesome and half of them are terrible, like depending on what you're
right.
The person who thinks that every single song on the Tony Hawk soundtrack is the best song they've ever heard is a little bit scary to me. But anyway, like something like, man, I played the hell out of those Tony Hawk 1 and 2 on PlayStation.
Hell yeah.
I remember even before Tony Hawk 2 came out, there was a demo disc that only had the Paris level or the Marseille level. So it was one level, a 2-minute run on this thing. And man, I played that so much. So much. I worked at a skate shop, and I think that I may have, at that time, and I may have even called out sick from my real job at the skateboard store to play the one level of the Tony Hawk video game. I think that actually happened. I'm pretty sure it did.
Hey, no judgments here.
But, man, so after you've played a million runs of Tony Hawk, like, I never want to hear those songs ever. So that's like a prime example of mute the soundtrack and put something else on. But even back in the day, before it was easy to, I mean, I guess you could always like mute the sound and then play music on a stereo, but that's not the same as having it all come from the same place. But yeah, so Tony Hawk, after the first couple of runs, mute the soundtrack. Absolutely. Vampire Survivors, that music is too... In those kind of games, I can't handle the music. I always turn it off. And I'll usually listen to something else. So yeah, I mean, I do like the whole experience. And when it's really thoughtful and immersive in either like super high quality music, especially with like incidentals that work with what's happening on screen, or like such an immersive soundscape as a whole, then yes, I absolutely love that stuff. But aside from that, I don't necessarily like being forced to listen to the same thing over and over again. And I appreciate being able to listen to what I want now, easily now.
I think that's where Vampire Survivors kind of fails because like the music is great the first time you
Right.
hear it, but then it's just like
Over
you're
and
stuck in
over.
the levels for a half an hour at
Yeah.
a time, so it's just
Yeah.
looping and looping.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Is there a game that you can recall, or like, if anyone asks for just one video game that has excellent music that blew you away, what would be your go-to?
Mm. I'd have to say Zelda probably.
Okay, I mean
I
that's
mean,
fair.
just any Zelda. Like they're all good.
I agree,
But
but I'm
yeah,
biased,
that
so
that
what
whole
was does it
yeah.
matter?
So I'll tell you a quick funny story. There
Sure.
was one Nintendo game that I really was on the search for the actual cartridge while I was out, and I don't even have a Nintendo like a way to play the physical cartridge right now. But I just wanted this
Hmm.
game. It's called Battle of Olympus, and it is
I think I've heard of that.
very similar to Zelda 2 in that it's like a side-scrolling RPG. Dude,
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
okay, so that's another game that I played to death and beat. It's a hard game too. So this would have been
Hmm.
like in the early 90s. And yeah, man, I played that game for probably a year, maybe longer than a year to beat it. And that game has really incredible music. That the band that I was in at the time in high school, once you get like especially to some of the later stages and stuff, there were like we literally just ripped off riffs out of the songs from this video game because they were so good.
Hmm.
There's like one fight
There's,
scene that has like an odd time signature, like little galloping riff thing that we straight up just
hmm.
figured out how to play on guitar and stole that riff from the song and incorporated it into a song. So yes, game.
But a lot of those chiptune kind of things kind of lend themselves to normal instruments as well.
Yeah,
Like when you change it over from just like the chiptune sound to the instruments, it sounds
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So yeah, I have literally stolen riffs from video game music before too, at least a couple times.
Hmm. Nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that. I mean, there's. Do you? I guess mentioning that, do you listen to any of like the video game cover bands or anything like that? Like one of them that comes to mind is I think it's Power Glove, and they'll just take old titles from old titles from old video games and things, and turn it into power metal or any other type of genre.
I mean, it might have. I think we've done a tour with Power Glove. I know forgive me. I feel terrible to not remember the details exactly, but I know that we have toured with a video game themed
Hmm.
band, and I'm pretty sure that it was Power Glove. It was like a festival type thing, and like we played a
Hmm.
few hours apart from each other, so I didn't get to see them every day or anything like that. But I mean, I think it's cool, and I think that it's fun to see different interpretations of, just like we were just saying, video game music in different formats. But to be honest, it's not like, I don't know, like I don't really listen to power metal, I guess. So like, like,
Hmm.
I don't know. It's like, I appreciate it, but I'm not the target for that. Even though I love video games and some kinds of heavy metal, like that's not something that would like fall into my daily listening, you know?
Hmm. I mean, to be honest with you, I was very surprised to find out. Like, I think
Madonna. Yeah, Madonna's my favorite.
Hyde, that's right,
Yeah, I mean,
and that is
I like lots of different kinds of music, and I obviously like heavy metal, and I have a lot of roots in heavy metal style music, but I don't really listen to it a ton when I'm at home. And I
Mhm.
think part of it is because I'm on tour. I'm surrounded by so much heavy metal, and I just like need a
Right.
break, man. But
Hmm.
uh, I I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, man, I like Slayer and Metallica and like the records that I liked when I was a kid as far as heavy metal, but I don't. And there are occasionally newer things that I hear and I'm like, whoa, like it blows my mind in some way. But
Yep.
like a newer band that I really love is Undeath. We toured with them like 6, 7 months ago, and my friend Tommy plays bass in the band. He's like from down here, and the rest of them are up in New York. And so I've met the rest of the guys, and we're all friends now. But those guys are a newer band that's absolutely fantastic. But in the same scheme, they're not like doing anything super new. They're, and that's not a cut. They're doing something a little older, but they're doing it really, really well.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's fresh to me to hear something that's just so good. So yeah, I mean, that's a newer band that I love, but I don't know, man. Like heavy metal is not new. Heavy metal isn't my current interest as far as music goes, I guess.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I think my traveling music is heavy metal and listening to that when I'm driving, but when I'm home, it's a lot of like lo-fi stuff. Or my kids like to listen to Trolls music, so I've been listening to a lot of that.
Yeah.
But it's a nice escape. It changes things up, keeps it fresh.
And then when you put on some brutal ass death metal, then it like gives you context of how brutal it is instead of just
Absolutely
constant brutality,
So I don't want to take up too much more of your time since we're going on about an hour here.
Okay, sure.
I'm sure you got plenty to do today. Is there anything you want to plug or what you have up to? I know you guys are getting ready for a show in Indiana in a little while.
Yeah, so our Perpetual Terminal album came out recently. It's been out for a few months now. If you haven't heard that, check it out. It's
go listen to it
everywhere. We have a Darkest Hour Patreon that we have lots of, we send out goodies in terms of physical items and then like behind the scenes stuff. Like sometimes we'll drop a demo for a song that never got released, or like, I don't know, just like, I feel like it's pretty cool. So if you're a fan of Darkest Hour and you weren't aware of that stuff, check it out. Yeah, we'll be playing a show in Indianapolis in a few months with Haste the Day. And then we'll be doing a tour in Europe with Fit for an Autopsy in the wintertime.
Nice. That'll be cool. Yeah. I wish that I moved out from Michigan 11 years ago. So if I was still in Michigan and found out about that, I'd be driving down there. Now I'm over in Massachusetts, so it might take a minute to get that way. But if I find myself that way when you guys are playing, I'll definitely go to the show, because the fact that Haste Today is touring again got me excited, because I haven't listened to them in years. I'm like, oh, they stopped. And then they started posting again on their social, so I was like, oh shit, something's coming.
Yeah, it'll be cool.
So that's great.
Yeah.
All right. This was great. Hopefully I get to talk to you again about gaming sometime soon.
Man.
Maybe check in the future, see what's
I'll
up.
see you at a show, and I'm sure we'll have some other games to talk, some new gaming stuff to talk about.
Absolutely.
All right, man.
Well, thank you for your time. Thanks for talking.
Yeah, thanks for having me.